Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Drew, and I want to welcome you back to Learn How to See Better. It's the only podcast out there that'll improve your vision the longer you listen. And for today, February 28th, 2022, I wanted to take a minute here on the shortest day of the year, and I've entitled this episode Short Month, Shorter Fuse. And that's kind of funny because I'm not in any kind of upset or agitated mood right now. But I wanted to dive into this topic a little bit and just kind of talk about people, right? We're all human beings and we're all made and created in a unique way. But we also have some very commonality type of behavior patterns. It's sometimes good to kind of bring up and talk through because for some, it gives us a better way to view ourselves, hearing it from a third party point of view without feeling attacked. And for some of us, it can just be that friendly reminder that what goes on in our world is related to everything else. And so, I kind of start with that as I think about a conversation going back to the idea of having a short temper, right? Somebody blows a fuse, they get really ticked off and they blow up. And it's like, whoa, what just caused that, right? You ever wonder why some people generally have a short fuse, it maybe seems like, or why they get more agitated, or why the unexpected person seems to be pretty even keeled, and then all of a sudden, that one straw that broke the camel back really did it. And what it has to deal with is the scenario where sometimes in people's lives, when we don't see things turn out the way we want, we can elect sometimes to respond to that event and get real frustrated, right? It's like our ego's bruised because we didn't have the ability to control the outcome of a situation. And so sometimes you might find that this happens more repeatedly than you want because you realize there's only so much that you do control. Now you control your attitude fully, your mindset, right? But the world around you, the events that go on around you, right? That's not all the way in your control necessarily. And so sometimes people get real bent out of shape about this. And depending on the areas and how frequently this is happening, what we effectively go through is this process where, you're kind of holding stuff in. Maybe you're getting frustrated that you didn't control the pace or flow of traffic the other day. And as a result, you're late to work, right? And maybe you got written up. And it can be one of those things. It's like, well, you're not going to yell at your boss for writing you up. Yeah, it wasn't your fault. But you have this thing that frustrated you. You couldn't control the flow of traffic and you were delayed an extra 15 minutes. Oh, so frustrating, right? Not that big a deal until you order your lunch and they've got pickles on your hamburger and you specifically said no pickles, right? But you don't want to tick off the person making your food. That can go downhill fast. So you just kind of bottle that up, right? And this could be anyone on any given day, just going through life and having these little situations where things didn't go their way, and depending on how we're feeling at the moment. And really what has been going on in our world, sometimes these little things can start to add up. And it's like a pressure cooker, you can boil over. And so it's crazy to think that sometimes we just need those moments to be able to recognize when we're on edge. Little kids do this best when they're taught to, if they're upset, then they reset. They go, walk away, take some deep breaths, count to 10. The kid took your toy. You don't need to, go attack them, right? There's a way to process this and communicate and be kind of civilized with it. But some of these things we forget when we get grown up, and you find that what might make us upset, we can look back at later and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I behaved that way, right? The person cut me off on the freeway, or the person got the promotion over you, and you know that you were more whatever, skilled or appropriate or tenured and deserving of the position or related to the boss, whatever the reasoning is, right? But we don't get that control and it frustrates us. And so depending on, what we've been dealing with and how kind of our overall mental health has been, these things can really stack up. And this is all well and good. You get the concept. A short temper can be caused and created by, stacking and stuffing, things in and not getting a chance to, let it all out. But what you also notice with the short month is it's kind of one of those things where you look at February. I'll tell you right now, the gyms are probably starting to get a lot of space in them, right? By this time in the year. And that's because a lot of the New Year's resolutions that weren't really, set and rooted in anything definite start to wane. They start to fall off. They start to fade away. And so as a result of that, anytime when we as people, set goals for ourselves or have an outlook, and we don't live up to our own expectations, it's kind of crazy that we'll tend to do one of a handful of things. We'll either blame ourselves, we'll blame someone else, or we'll blame, something like traffic or time or the money or whatever it is, something external to you. And so that lack of ability to really take full responsibility, it doesn't make anything easier. It doesn't make anything easier not, owning up to these things. But what you can find is, again, the frustration that builds is like, not really doing what I know I need to do. And whether I place the blame or not, some of the frustration, the disappointment can still be there. So if you were to look at a macro level and you talk about resolutions, not to beat them up, there's nothing wrong with someone wanting to do better for themselves. But if the majority of typical lighthearted resolutions are rooted in, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to make another $10 an hour or whatever the thing is, lose weight, get healthy, gain muscle, gain money, right? Get a promotion, find the love of my life. We want these things, but if we just kind of expect them to happen on their own and we don't really do all that much or do all we can or really make the changes to step into the identity required to take on, wear that suit, get into your, superhero suit. Clark Kent can't fly. He's got to get into the Superman suit with the magic cape to be able to fly. So if we don't step into the suit or the identity of the person that can have the thing, right? If you don't get in the Superman suit so you can be like Superman and fly, then you're just not going to be able to see the world from a different perspective of flying all over it like Superman can. So, in this case, all Clark Kent can do is write about it. And in certain instances, that may become less satisfactory because you want to fly. And so again, this isn't meant to be, anything discouraging to people out there that might be feeling like, man, it's, 6, 7, 8 weeks into the year and I'm not really making it happen the way I want to. Guess what? That's all right. Tomorrow's the first of the month. Tomorrow's the 1st of March and the 1st of the month, right? Second day of the week. It'll be Tuesday. Whole new outlook. Just like that, right? So being willing to let go of some of the frustrations can be part of the solution to addressing the short fuse that we get. Because you know what? Don't do anything. And what we see is spring rolls around. The weather's getting better. People are traveling again. Things are opening back up. It's about to be, spring break and baseball season, right? Spring training. All sorts of reasons to get out there. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It's going to be 85 degrees this week. It's beautiful blue skies. I almost want to brag to the rest of the world about how great the weather is. But for now, I'll just let you know I'm thankful, right? But what's going to happen is you take those scenarios, weather's changing, seasons are warming up, everything feels good again, so to speak. But what are you going to find? You're going to want to be in the socialite environments. You're going to want to be, off in the pool, laying out. You're going to want to be traveling, spending the money. So if a lot of people have a aspiration about, health and wealth and no actions taken, there comes the time where it's like, all right, now it's time to enjoy some of your health and wealth that you've been working on the last couple months. It's like, oh, well, I haven't. Then you get this frustration from the result, right? And whether you place the blame, own the blame, or regardless how you process it, there can be this little bit of letdown and frustration about what the result is. And so maybe there's not the appearance that you're hoping for, and then there might not be the right financial setup. So it just goes to raise the point that sometimes when we ask ourselves better questions, we can get better insights into our own activities that then allow us to say, all right, am I okay with that? Because if I'm not, I can make an instant change. I can go to bed tonight, wake up tomorrow with a whole new script. And if I take action and follow that new script, I can start getting new results as early as tomorrow. So it's two pieces to this. One is understanding, the shortest month of the year and why fuses tend to get short is it's that compound effect of delayed initiative, of good intentions, but not good actions to go with it. And so the results don't add up. And now the compound effects are showing, well, hey, if you've been in the gym for 31 plus 28 days, right? 59 days, you'd be seeing some certain results by now. If you were doing different things with your financial setup, regardless of what those different things are, if they're an aspirational or accumulation type setup, then you're going to be able to notice some sort of difference, ideally, after about 60 days time, based on the compound effect. So it's really just that checkpoint. Where we at? Doing good? Not doing so good. And not so much to invest additional feeling into and additional energy into that result and what it is currently, but knowing that you can instantly make that change, right? I even look at this from the standpoint of a personal perspective. A moment ago, I was talking about how great the weather is, but at the same time, it's been a chilly winter for Phoenix. And I chuckle about that because that doesn't mean, ice storms or anything like that. But, what's cold to one is different for another. And it's been chilly out here. And I've noticed about myself that I tend to be a lot more consistent with my own physical activity when the weather is nice and warm, right? I like to break a good sweat with a workout. Sometimes it seems too chilly to suit up, and that plays a role in the decision making. Is that a reason or excuse? You tell me. But when you make the observation, you don't have to invest in any kind of meaning or create any kind of meaning around it. You can just say, hey, if I know that I'm a lot more consistent with the warm weather and I got 80 degrees on the calendar this week, fantastic. I can just focus on looking forward to the fact that I'm going to fall in line with my attention and my actions are going to show the outcome. But if all of a sudden we get a break in the weather and there's a snowstorm for the next 7 days, the track record says you may or may not do that. You might not be that. You might not be that one to get those same number of workouts in that same 7-day time period. But even with that, once you acknowledge that, you can say, yeah, that doesn't mean I can't do an indoor routine over the next few days. So it's always looking at how can I change the situation. If I find something that I look at and I don't like, whether it's a physical appearance, whether it's a bank account, whether it's a situation or a relationship status that you're in, know that you have some power to change that from the standpoint of your point of view, your perspective, the way you look at it. Because your attitude is like 90% of it all, right? It's not what happens to you, but the way you respond to it. And I say that sometimes more for myself than for you listening right now. Because we all need to be reminded of that, right? So, short month, shorter fuse. If you found yourself having, instances where you're a little bit hot under the collar or a little bit more snippy than normal or short with people, maybe it's an opportunity to identify what these situations are coming up that bring about these frustrations. And pause and give yourself forgiveness to know that, there might be something you have going on that you're not giving full attention to that's got you, tense and packed with pressure. Try to identify that so you can let it out, that pressure release valve, because that person on the end of your rant, they probably don't deserve it. They just didn't know that they're the straw that broke the camel's back, as the saying goes. They just caught you on the right day at the wrong time and they received it. So sometimes as we go through our own process of kind of looking at what's happening in our lives, we have to be willing to kind of assess what we've been doing, actions, and what we've been wanting, intentions, and having a fair discussion around, are the actions and intentions aligned? If so, great. Keep up the good work. If not, great. We've got an opportunity to do some problem solving and we don't even want to stay there too long. It's more about changing and identifying what's not working so you can set that to the side and get that out of the way from impeding your progress of going to where you want to go. So this is a different and a unique way. It's going to wrap up the month of February, the shortest month of the year. But it also gives us an ability to look forward to the next month. Probably a part of why they call it March Madness, right? We're getting out of the winter months. We're breaking into the spring. Let's go for it, right? It's more than just the college basketball activities. So as you take a moment to reflect on the first couple of months of 2022, what do you project going forward, looking forward into March, the warm months of spring, the changing of the seasons that we all tend to look forward to? It's spring again. Sounds good rolling off the tongue. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this little discussion and me sharing something about how we can look at situations in our life and how we're processing those events. Are we just keeping everything held in and bottling it all up, adding additional pressure? And if so, try to identify what's driving that, right? Are we in alignment still? It's a great checkpoint. Are you doing the things that you set out to do long after the mood you said them in has passed? It's like the definition of dedication, commitment, right? So looking at that periodically and just say, okay, for any area of my life, if I feel out of sync, look at that area a little bit more. So what am I looking to have? Why do I feel this way? If I like it, if I don't, right? What's behind this? And spend some time doing that search. Because if you seek, you'll find. It's all right there under our noses half the time anyway. We just have to open our eyes a little bit wider and be willing to allow the obvious into our world. So that's what I've got for you for this episode. Let's look forward into March and the remaining of this year. Continuing to have the attitude of making it your best bet. Making yourself your best bet and making 2022 your best year yet. So with that, thanks again for listening, and I will catch you on the next episode. This is your host, Drew Davis. Learn how to see better. The only podcast out there that'll improve your vision the longer you listen. Thanks.